Thank you for joining us today for Auxano Bytes Podcast. And let us begin the podcast with our first question. So, Himanshu, you've worked in senior positions in MNCs like Amazon, Bain and Company, and driving product development at Exigo. How, as an entrepreneur, how did the things come as a surprise to you?
Sure, Karan. A little bit about like how I started. I was first in a consulting firm called Bain Company, and then did my MBA, moved to Amazon when it was being set up in India, right? Was more like a product management role in Amazon, and then from thereafter took up a growth role in Ixigo. So right from the very beginning, I always had the clear idea that I have to get the entrepreneurship side, or like the other side of the business, right? I mean, I always had that clear that I will be doing something or starting up on my own. But what I wanted to honestly do during this phase was to minimize the chances of failing, you can say, right? Or increasing my chances of sort of building a product that can scale up, or building a better MVP, right? So for all of those things, I decided to work in a startup, which is Ixigo. So spent almost 3 to 4 years there, and it was a great learning experience because it was like a small team, small numbers when I started off, and grew that team from like a 30-40 member team to 120 member team, right? Numbers scaled up to like 20-30x, right? And even Amazon, I would say Amazon was probably one of the best experiences till now in my life, because that's a company which is so obsessed with its customers, right? So working with bigger companies is also extremely, I would say, beneficial for young professionals, because they teach you the right ethics, they teach you the right things to focus on, and even structure your work processes. So hence, I feel that the work experiences I had are really beneficial, are still benefiting me, I would say, and they were really beneficial for somebody like me who started up after a couple of years. So yeah, but like the idea was always there.
That's great. So, how did you ideate Unlu? Where did the inspiration come from? What was the thought process? How did the product development actually shape up?
Hmm. So, see, our founding team, Vipul, Anurag, me, we've known each other for a long time now, for a lot of years, and for almost like a year, we were contemplating. So, we always knew we have to do something on the creator side of the things, right? Because we believe in creator economy. But the idea was to understand where are the right gaps, right? Is it a product? Is it uh, providing opportunities to creator or upskilling creators, and understanding the entire journey? So in this process, we spoke with like thousands of creators and celebrities, and in the process also we understood various experiments were performed, on the product side creators. So before we jumped on and built something, we had spent a considerable amount of time to experiment and understand the needs and the gaps that we are solving for, right? So I would say it was a evolving process. It wasn't like, like in one moment we realized that, okay, this is the exact product that we want to build. It was iterative. Over time, we refined our thinking as well as the product that we wanted to build. And you are aware, right? Like how we started off and how we sort of iterated a lot of times, right? So I think that was the idea, and it's almost every founder that I've met, it's part of their journey, right? Either you iterate or pivot, or you sort of make your product very flexible to adapt with the changing requirements of your end customer. So that's been our journey till now.
I think that is a good point that you covered, that agility is the core to product development. And we've also, as a since we've been associated with Unlu, we've seen how the agility part helped us go forward. So maybe if you can just expand a little for the people who are listening to us, that how did this journey happen, and what were the experiences at which points you felt that, okay, this is how the product needs to evolve, or this is a point where I need to pivot. What were those indicators that you saw while you were on the journey? Because what we see at times is that entrepreneurs get deeply engaged with the product. So it is not easy for every entrepreneur to take that agility and pivot the product. So a little light on this could help.
Sure, Karan. So Before that, like in one line, if people were to understand what Unlu is, it's a place where world's top creators come to learn, connect, and create. Right? They come together, and we've created this platform. Right now, as part of this platform, how the way things have evolved is like we started off only with upskilling creators. Right now, these creators, and we have the moment we had a pool of more than 10,000 creators with us who we had upskilled, we started to understand that okay, the latent need is also not just upskilling but upskilling. What happens after upskilling, right? These creators are creating content but they are not able to distribute, they're not able to monetize, they're not able to even and the middle layer of creators. So essentially, if you look at creators, there's the lowest layer who is just started to sort of pursue their passion and build onto the content creation. There's a middle layer who is already, you can say, has started professionally on content creation, right? And they have to be given right set of opportunities and right set of industry connects as well as industry understanding for them to launch themselves as a brand or launch their content, to a much wider audience, right? So we understood these nuances once we had, you can say, the MVP was rolled out to like thousands of users, right? And this gap is like, we feel this gap is much larger, much bigger, as well as a much higher impact, towards the bottom of the funnel. And hence we jumped on to this opportunity. So these are like, I'm just giving you one example, right? And then there are so many examples in the product development field. While you're developing a product, you realize at times that okay, this is a small thing that 5 or 10 creators are asking for, or 5 or 10 of your users might be asking for, right? And all of a sudden you realize that okay, these are just users who are asking for, there would be 10 times more users who are not asking you, but they would be requiring this, right? And hence you understand the you can say, the requirement or the need of having such products out there, right? So I think you get the learning. So the bottom line is you have to be extremely close to your end user in understanding the data and in also understanding the data. Like data collection is extremely important, because for a digital product you can't speak one on one with all your users, right? If you have thousands of users, you have to collect data, gather insights, and then make decisions basis on the basis of these insights. So that's what we've been doing, right? I mean, collecting data and understanding the insights out of that data, and making these product decisions on how to evolve.
So, what I understand is, the feedback loop needs to complete. So, if the feedback loop completes, I think that is something that really helps in scaling the product, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's like the you can say like the eureka moment for any product person.
But again, as you mentioned that, at the initial phases, once you gather 10,000 or, users on the platform, so analyzing that feedback, or, actually trying to get the real, the crux of the feedback, that as an entrepreneur also becomes a challenge, because, at the early stages, you do not really deploy data and analytics at large scale. You don't have experts doing that for you. So,
Mhm.
just this is one thing more that, young entrepreneurs can actually understand, that at early stages, how they
Mhm.
can reach to their customers, or, take the feedback and, put that in execution. Because,
Mhm.
taking the feedback is easy, but putting making sense out of it and putting to execution is something which I feel, which actually adds value.
Hmm. No, absolutely correct, Karan. In fact, so there are two parts. Like, how do you collect data if you're, let's say, if you don't have enough tech bandwidth or not enough tech knowledge, right? As extremely early stage companies, right? And second is, how do you put it to execution, right? So I would say data, as founders, you have to understand it is extremely important. Like, you cannot avoid not taking, feedback, user feedback, right? I mean, you have to take user feedback. And for that matter, right, I mean, some of the strategies that we've done, so let's say you had a 10-15 member team, right? Every day everyone speaks with like 2 or 3 users, mandatory, right? It doesn't take more than 15 minutes of anybody's time. But on a daily basis, let's say if you have a 15-member team speaking with 50 users, that's a good enough database, right? So in statistics, there's a number, statistically significant number is, defined as number of people who will really make meaningful, like basis which the data that you collect from these users, basis which you can create meaningful decisions, right? So if you collect 50 data points on a daily basis, and let's say on a monthly basis you have 1,000 or data points or plus 1,000 plus data points, right? You're able to make meaningful decisions basis it, and it doesn't take more than 15 minutes of anybody's time in the company, right? I think that's like one of the strategies that early stage founders can deploy. And in terms of executing it, I would say prioritization is extremely important, because what you would realize is, at the end of this process you would have, let's say, a list of 50 things or 30 things which comes out, right? Now you have to prioritize basis the impact and the, like, how much movement of the north star metric of your company is happening because of that, right? So for instance, for us, the north star metric is content creation, right? Now, if let's say we have 30 things, what is, like, we'll prioritize it basis, what thing is impact end objective of content creation by how much factor, right? Then basis that we will sort of try, and obviously there are other prioritization metrics, like rice framework is there for product management, rice, and you can, the listeners can probably search for it, and you can follow simple frameworks to be able to understand how to prioritize.
I think this can be another topic that we can cover onto the RISE framework and different models that you can talk about.
Yeah.
Besides that, also one thing you mentioned earlier was about the MVP, right? So one question that I have here is that we see a lot of entrepreneurs who have great ideas but are not able to put it into execution. They face the
Hmm.
teething issues at the early stages. And so, what is the kind of advice you would like to give them, or how would you want to communicate to them that how to put your idea into execution?
Um, well, I would say current, like in today's age, like I'm talking about like the current, even like, where you're sitting, when we're talking, right? I mean, there is so much available right now for any founder. Like, let's say you don't have a tech person with you, or if you are just a techie, you don't have any business person, right? You have no code available, right? Like we know people who are extremely good with, they can create their product using no code and scale their product like that, right? You can even outsource and get your MVP out. Fiverr is there, and it's extremely cheap and fast to get freelancers to do things, right? The only thing is you have to be extremely confident. So see, the challenge is that if you don't have an in-house person doing your work, and let's take an example that I am a marketing growth business person, you can say, right? And I don't have a tech person, just an example, right? I would probably, like, my thought process would be, I would validate the MVP sort of document or the approach, that okay, this is what I exactly want to do. I would validate it over and over again with multiple users, right? When I'm extremely sure, I would take that product document, sit with, let's say, either a freelancer or like a no code person, and not deploy a lot of resources in terms of capital and time, right? Actually come out with that product, right? And after that, it's just about growing and sort of promoting and marketing in the right target audience, because a lot of times founders also make the mistake of just putting the product out and expecting the users to come directly, right? You have to, I mean, just product MVP creation is not where the buck stops. You have to approach the right TG users, right target group of your customers or users, right? And understand from them, because these are the people who you created the MVP for, right? So you have to make sure the MVP reaches them, right? And we can set a target in our minds that okay, we have to reach out to 1,000 or 10,000 users, and that's where we take a call basis the data, or basis the revenue or traction or number of engagement, whatever your metric is, right? If you want to scale it or not scale it, right? And actually that's the point where you should even approach your angels or early stage VCs, to be able to sort of go for a small raise or something like that, because that actually makes sense. I mean, just on an idea or small MVP which doesn't have traction, doesn't make sense to proceed ahead.
So, do you also think that angels and small micro VCs that are there, they enable you to validate a product as well? Whether they help you in the product validation also besides just the fundraise?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in our case, they did, right? And I know as an angel investor as well, that a lot of times I'm extremely involved with the startups that I'm sort of, I've invested in, because see, the idea is these are people who have a lot of business experience, or I would say cross vertical experience, and extremely experienced people, become micro VCs and angels, right? So I think it's important for any founder to be taking in advice and constantly validating, because these are your, I would say, the best well wishers that you can get in your early stages, right? it's probably as much your company as theirs, because they have probably invested in you as a founder with extremely low, I would say, in terms of maybe traction or confidence level. But yeah, I mean, they've been with you in the early stages, so I think nobody can be a better well-wisher. Although at the same time, founders are the dreamers, right? I mean, they would know where they want to be. So you always have to take it with a pinch of salt. But yeah, I mean, getting an advice and feedback from these angels in early stage VCs is extremely important and beneficial.
Great. Do you also think, like, when people are in their professional careers and they have a idea, they're validating, they may be building the MVP. So, what is the best trade-off that, while continuing your professional role, you start building onto these things, or people say that you can't sail on two boats, right? You can't sail on two boats. So in
Hmm.
that case, when people are in the professional career, they should actually step back and then devote themselves to starting up. What is your take on this? That how a person should balance the approach?
Well, to be honest, Karan, it's a good question, and I've seen both kind of people sort of succeed, and both kind of people fail also, right? It is honestly about planning, and I think it's mostly about planning. You how well you are able to plan, uh, either being a professional and starting up, right? And the cutoff time. So with planning, what you actually mean is, okay, how much time are you giving it? What all resources are you deploying? Okay, in terms of financial sort of backing, how much time frame do you have, right? Like, let's say you have enough finances for the next 12 months, 18 months, right? Then it's like it's lesser risk as compared to somebody who would only have capital for 3 months or 4 months to sustain, to be able to turn around, right? And even in terms of a cutoff time, right? Okay, that I want to reach XYZ place in terms of traction, or I want to take this business to XYZ stage in terms of product, or you need to set milestones in terms of both where you want to reach and timeline, right? After which that's your cutoff, right? And after which, let's say you say either you pivot or you try something else, right? So I would say it's about it's very individual. It's a very individual choice, but neither of them is, I would say, better than the other if the planning has been done very well. Like a conscious planning has been done very well.
So I think one thing that I can say was a good learning was that entrepreneurship is not about just starting up or a domain expertise. It's a basket of whole lot of things. You need statistics, you need domain expertise, you need financial planning. A lot of things need
Yeah.
to go while starting up. You cannot just start up on one pillar. It's good
Mm-hmm.
to know. Okay, so a lot about the entrepreneurial journey. Now a little about Unlu. As a user, why should I use Unlu? If you were to convince me to come on the platform and maybe say 3 to 4 points, how would you convince
Hmm. Well, firstly, like, if you were to understand the product or even the TK, right? It's the creators who we are targeting, right? It could be a creator in any field, somebody who is extremely passionate, want to sort of professionally work as a writer, singer, actor, comedian, lyrics writer, anything on the creative field. So let's say if you want to learn the art to up level your career, you want to launch new content, you want to build your brand as a creator, then Unlu is the place to be, right? And we have products for every layer of creator, as I was talking about some time back, right? So for the lowest the beginner level of creators who have just, I would say, started in their content creation journey, we have Unlu classes, which is on demand content by celebrities. So the USP that we have is we have extremely high quality content, thought through content by high quality by famous celebrities like Manoj Bajpayee for acting, Udit Narayan, Monali Thakur for singing. We have Johnny Lever for comedy, Ruskin Bond for writing, Anita Nair for writing. So extremely popular celebrities who have been there, done that. They tell you about their overall life journeys. How they became what they became, right? And what kind of understanding resolutions you need to take in your mind to be able to become like them, right? And for the middle layer of creators who have probably, like, you can say, like, if you take an example of a singer, so somebody who's a trained singer, right, who has already been practicing singing and trying his or her hands on creating songs, for that person we have Unlu program or courses, which is, you can say, more like a fellowship program. And the end objective for us is to, similar to the, I would say, I would take an example of, let's say, the startup VC ecosystem, where accelerators help startups to accelerate and reach a certain level, right? Similarly, this solo programs helps these creators to accelerate and launch themselves in the industry, right? So that's because for this middle layer of creators, the challenge is not upskilling, while the challenge is to understand the various nuances of the industry, how to launch themselves and how to grow, how to scale their following, content, all of that, right? So the program piece is for them, right? And the end objective for both of them is content creation. So we have at the center of our, you can say, the growth or the flywheel of our product is the community. So imagine, like, we already have 1 million plus users, right, who are all creators, and they are helping each other, right? We are Collaboration is the crux of the product, where let's say a lyricist comes, joins hand with a singer, and your videographer comes, and the three of them produce a song, and one of them is right now out on YouTube, right? It's by Manik, Super Manik. The song's name is 21, and it's already, I think, hit like 1 lakh views in like the last 2-3 days. So these kind of factors play in when you have extremely good quality of creators coming in and collaborating, right? So I'm explaining to you in sort of very, I would say, in a crux, but hope this brings forth the point.
No, I think you should share this link, the song, and I think we would add it with our
Yes.
podcast so that our viewers can also listen to the song. And what I could again, a little understanding of what you said, three pillars that we focus on is the creator economy and the creators basically over here, the monetization aspect and the community, right?
Correct.
So great, we've touched upon the three most sensitive, I think, three most crucial aspects of the overall business. Now, being passionate about business is one thing, but at the same point of time, you've got a lot of competitors that come into the market at the price point and different things that they try and compete with. So, how one entrepreneur focuses on delivering the best quality at a price which is at parity with the users spending capacity, and yet stay ahead of the competitor. What is your thought on that?
Well, Karan, honestly, we are, as I said in the beginning, right? We've decided to be extremely obsessed with our creators. So we don't really obsess about competitors, honestly, right? While we do sort of have in mind what is offering what, and what we can take from them, which can become a better offering for our creators, right? But we don't really obsess about, okay, what is the price point they're offering the things at. What we really want to be good at is offer the best products, the best experiences, best. So if it's about learning, upskilling, offer the upskilling, as compared to competitors. So while some of our competitors are offering short term live courses, you can not even courses, like 1 hour live class which doesn't have any outcome. We believe that, okay, if you want to have live interaction, then you need to have outcomes, right? So for instance, this program that we have has 15 plus hours of live interactions with 15 celebrities, but at the end of it, there is an outcome, there's a content produced after every live interaction, right? So uh, and again, most of this comes from the creators themselves, like the feedback loop that you talked about, right? Because understanding, obsessing about the creators helps you understand their pain points, their requirements, and that's how you can build a better product, which can sort of and you really don't, I mean, that's one factor, right? And honestly, like, I've worked in the travel industry, where, let's say, the commodity was the same. It was just like one flight, like a Delhi to Bombay flight, which was being sold by Indigo. The same flight was being sold by Make My Trip, like an offline agent, and then an aggregator like Ixigo, who's like a meta of on top of all of that, right? And even Google entered that. So Google also started to offer. Everybody was offering the same flight at the same price, right? And then people were burning money on discounts, right? But the end result was, if you become a product that can offer unmatched experience to this customer, this customer will even pay you 200 or $300 more on that price, right? But you have to offer the experience, and that's what we believe in. To our creators, we have to offer unmatched experience. And as I said, like our North Star metric is the success of creators. All we need is like some 1,000 to 10,000 success stories of our creators, and I guarantee you that every creator who would ever dream of becoming something in the creative field would talk about Unlu. So that's all our goal is.
It's a good goal to have, and all the best. Now, when you talk about this reaching out to the market and audience and creating that delight, so a lot of a big role in this is the GTM strategy. I think GTM strategy plays a crucial role in it. So, how would you build a GTM strategy focused towards user activation, retention, and resurrection? What is the key things that you would look in when you are building a GTM strategy for, if you can try about any, if you can have a generic overview, or if you want to maybe, take a example, I would leave that up to you so that, the young entrepreneurs can understand how to create a GTM strategy for themselves in the startups.
Sure, Karan. Yeah, I mean, in fact, like you already covered, right? Like the funnel of so it's called the double A triple R funnel, which is you acquire a user at the top of the funnel, you activate that user, you have your retention marketing, or you can say remarketing activities happening, you have referral happening, and at the end of the funnel, you have revenue being generated. So it's called the double A triple R funnel. It's also known as the metric or the Bytes funnel, right?
Sorry,
Now,
I could not get you, Himanshu. What are the funnels that you say?
the double A triple R funnel. So
Okay.
acquisition, activation, retention, referral, and revenue. Right
Okay.
now, and it can fit in any product, right? It's not just for us, but it's probably the most versatile framework that can fit across any type of business, be it B2B or B2C, right? So our GTM strategy also evolves around that, right? I mean, how we acquire the users, and like it's a mix of both organic and paid marketing, right? And we have a lot of partnerships with the right kind of, you can say, industry schools, as well as industry bodies who help us in acquiring the top of the funnel. Once the user is acquired, we activate that user through trial classes, right? And trial classes, and it's mostly product led, right? It's not like, you can say, it's very different from edtech, by the way. Edtech offers you somebody calling you and giving you offline classes and all that. We don't do that. I mean, it's everything for us is product led, right? Creators come, experience the product. Once they experience, the retention and reactivation, demarketing, all of that takes place through our community, right? So once the user has become a paid user, the user gets activated through our community. uh, Even people who are taking the class or who have taken the class, we have regular meetups on our community, some being done by us, some being done by creators themselves, right? And these meetups help each other sort of collaborate, find out the collaboration partner people. Like there are groups which are doing meetups in different cities, right? In these meetups, people say, okay, who all are from Delhi, right? And we're meeting this Saturday. So there was a meetup yesterday, and I think about 8 people are meeting in Delhi this weekend, right? So these creators meet up and understand, and then they come back on Ulu, they create, right? We give them the right set of tools to create, and then we power the entire distribution funnels, right? And during all of this process, a lot of referrals also take place because there are incentives aligned with referrals, and also a lot of them have their inherent. So let's say there's a musician, right? He already has like 2 or 3 band members, or somebody who he sort of used to create music, right? Now these people automatically get in their other creators, and we start creating content together, right? And but overall, as part of the product, the best part about us, 2 level product is, for the middle layer, the entire acquisition is organic. So all the customers are coming from the Unlu class, like the lowest layer of creators that we are targeting, right, and upskilling them. They're automatically moving to the second layer of our product, right? So for us, the GTM for the second product is extremely organic and very natural, right? So yeah.
The interesting part is that we also first connected in a meetup only in Delhi. So
Correct.
yeah, and I think it's been quite 3-4 years that we connected back then. Great.
Yeah.
Good, Himanshu. And I think those models that you talked about, triple A, double A, triple R, and the
Hmm.
flywheel, I think those are 2 things I would want to cover with you sometime, in future, let us know whenever you're free,
Absolutely.
and we would like to share it with our audience. And this is going to be a great learning experience for the young entrepreneurs out there. Any final thoughts that you would have on entrepreneurship, or the startup journey, or maybe in fact you've been the Unlu as a team has been successful in raising capital in past, so and from marquee investors. So anything on that, on how to approach the investor, anything you would want to give as a piece of advice to all the entrepreneurs out there?
Yeah, I mean, well, I would say there are there are like infinite amount of advices available for entrepreneurs online, but I would just say build your own experiences. I would say learn from your own experiences. That's the best form of learning you can have, right? And I mean, why my heart is always out. My heart always goes out to all the entrepreneurs. So never ever give up. I would say, keep trying. And I love entrepreneurs who keep sort of. I've seen others fail like 2 times, 3 times, and the fourth time when they come back, it is all the more powerful. You come back with so much of wisdom and so much of experience that your chances of success increases multifold, right? So I would say just hang in there. If you're not able to sort of achieve what you wanted to achieve, just hang in there and keep going. And if you're already doing great, then I'm sure you don't need advices from people like us. So yeah.
Well, I think it's great to always hear from fellow entrepreneurs. I think it's very motivating, and that's the whole idea of Auxano Bytes, that entrepreneurs and all experts across can connect and talk to everybody out there. Perfect. That's great, Himanshu. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll be looking forward to connect with you soon, and sharing your deeper insights on all the models and everything that you share. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Himanshu.
Thank you. Thanks, Karan. Take care. Bye.
Bye.